Okay, everybody, how are we doing? How's everyone? Is everyone on, Olivia? Or there's still people popping in?
There's still a few people popping in, but we have a good quorum.
We could, let's see, wait a couple more minutes. Does anyone have any burning questions they want answered? I can make a note and I'll probably address it, but in case I don't, just want to make sure I get that information to you. Anybody have any burning questions since you're on time? I'd like to give you the first privilege to put your question on the board. Wow, no questions. Everyone's an expert. Okay, I'm always excited. Mark was mentioning my 80s music. I'm a big Rocky fan, and my kids and I have been watching Glee, censoring some of the questionable scenes out, but it's been kind of fun to watch that with the kids. All right. What do you think, Olivia? How many have we got?
Another person just popped in, so we got 14 people now.
14. Okay, I mean, I can get started, and then as we progress, I'm sure folks will be joining us. Let's get started, everybody. Again, hi, I'm Alan Wang. For those of you that don't know me, I am the team leader of the Alan Wang Realty Group and also the OP of Keller Williams Santa Clara Valley. Over there in Santa Clara, our newest office there. For those of you that are not with our office or not part of our Silicon City office, our family, we would love to join you. These are the types of trainings that we provide to agents to help them get some advantage in this market. The reason I wanted to teach this class was I was talking to the team and the leadership team, and it's pretty brutal out there, depending on what kind of houses you're fighting for. Just really quick, the trends that I'm seeing, Mark and I both, and we will be teaching another class on this on Thursday, talk about what's going on with the market, why. Mark will go through the stats. I'll talk about a macro level so you can have some good, smart data and I wouldn't call it a script, but information to provide to your buyers or sellers when they ask you. But at a very high level, we're seeing a lot of buying activity on the East Bay, Pleasanton, Dublin, San Ramon, Danville. Homes are flying before we can get there on the weekends in those areas. Some hot spots down in Santa Teresa as well, single family homes around the 1 mil range. 1 mil to 1.2, always kind of hot because they're so affordable. And they have to get really aggressive on those as well. So I'm going to talk to you about how to win in this market. And it's not just about price. A lot of people think it's just about price and overbidding. There are a lot of ways to win, and I will go through that. Okay, I already introduced myself. Keep moving on here. I'm going to blast through some of these slides quickly because we don't have a lot of time. But really quick, I do speak very fast. I'm very intense and I'm very passionate. So in case you didn't know that, you've been warned. The big question that we always get on the buy side when I have consultations, well, why do I need an agent? Why don't I just go directly to the listing agent and do dual agency? Why do I need an agent? And I hope you have a good answer at the end of this class. I'm not even hoping, really, if you didn't, you have to at least be able to have 5 points to throw back at the buyer. And this class will cover that because you're going to need an agent to win. Just going with a dual agent doesn't guarantee a win. And then after you lose that house, then what? You got to go find another dual agent. It's really difficult to manage that. When I'm on the sell side, listing side, I don't take buyers because I don't want the conflict between my sellers. Don't think I'm working for them, that I have my best interest in mind. The buyer doesn't think I'm working for them. It just makes for an awful transaction. So a lot of agents don't do this. Not legal, but it's definitely puts you in a precarious situation if you have multiple offers and suddenly you're the one, your buyer is the one that's winning. I personally don't like to do this. But I'm going to jump into buyers. I love this class. I love actually working with buyers. 17 and a half years in, I still love working with buyers. It sounds strange to say. The reason is there's always a lot of them. There's always a buyer out there. And I love, one of you guys, a lot of you talk to me, why do you get in the business? And a lot of people, I love looking at homes. I still actually love looking at homes. You guys might have saw some of my posts. Looking at some really beautiful homes up in Pleasanton. It's such fun. And I like just that feeling of falling in love over and over again, helping our buyers fall in love with their houses. It's a blast. I still love doing that after 17 and a half years. You get to keep more of your commission. Sometimes on the listing side, it gets a little cutthroat depending on where you're going. If you're fighting in Fremont or East San Jose or Evergreen, people are going all the way down to 1.5%. And they're throwing all kinds of services, and it's pretty awful. The dirty secret is they tend to double end it, so they don't lose as much. That's the secret there. But it's hectic. Sometimes that's all a seller cares about is the commission. And I'm not telling you to do 1.5. Don't do it. I mean, at least get 2.5, right? And 3 if you can. But don't settle for 1.5 commission. But on the buy side, we don't have to do this. I mean, it's actually technically not legal, right? If someone asks you, well, hey, how much are you gonna give me back? I goes, well, I mean, I can't really. Everything that I do has to go through the lender. We have to put it in writing. It has to go through the lender. I cannot just cut things to you. It has to be approved by the lender. So that's usually my script if people ask me that. Well, first is I do a lot for you. We work very hard. These are the things we do, and we deserve our commission for that because we work extremely hard for you. If they still push, just bear in mind, I mean, the most you can technically do would be non-recurring closing costs, and it's hard to put a number on that. So, I mean, in the last X amount of years, I rarely give anything back on the buy side. I mean, it's just, there's so much value that they don't usually ask. But if they do, talk to your lender, make sure you just do a little bit, like a few thousand or something toward non-recurring closing costs at the most. But you can keep your commission. You keep a lot of it. I love it. It's also more proactive versus reactive. So when you're on the listing side, sometimes you're just at the whim of the market. I had to do 2 price drops today, actually. One in a property in Sunnyvale that I dropped by 100K, and then I had to do another one in 25K drop on a condo in San Mateo. And there's just different reasons why they're not moving, but I mean, I do my job. I follow up with all the agents, and in the day, I can't force a buyer to write an offer on my listing, right? And so, but sometimes the sellers get mad at you. Oh, well, you can't sell this house. I'm firing you. I'm going to hire somebody else. And there's really, in the end of the day, not much you can do. Certainly pricing is it. You stage it. You do a lot of things. But sometimes sellers are irrational about their price, and then you won't sell them. You get the blame. On the buy side, you don't. Actually, I found that if you know what you're doing, you can proactively manage the buyer. I mean, you pretty much know your odds of winning or losing as you go into an offer. And I think that's what I love, because you can control your fate. That's my opinion on that subject. There's a low bar. There's not a lot of great agents out there. So the ones that are good really stand out. I know because I look at a lot of offers, and I can tell when there's a good agent or a bad agent, or just not experienced agent. And let me tell you, there's more of them that are inexperienced than there are good ones. So there's a low bar. You guys, after this class, will be 10 steps ahead, probably 50, 100 steps ahead than most regular agents. A lot of first-time homeowners. So, if some of you are new in the industry, then, it's okay. A lot of first-time buyers. Not everyone's an experienced buyer, so you can learn as well with them if you need to. And also, these folks become future clients. They buy, then they upgrade, they buy again. Then, so that's just all the listings that I have right now. Except one that was referred from Keller, Philadelphia. The 3 listings that I have in my name, all were previous clients. I helped them buy that house, or I helped them buy a different property. So that's what I love about buyers. Now, buyers aren't all great. There's some that are what we call professional home shoppers. I have one who's been looking for 3 years, and just every house, he just doesn't make a decision. I don't know what's going on with him. I haven't fired him yet. It's a big dollar amount, and we have really good rapport. But I'm getting kind of frustrated. It's like, hey, your whole family said they like this house already. So what's the deal? Are we going to go or not? I mean, at least say yay or nay. And there shouldn't be we're thinking about it, right? So I'm being a little bit more. I've been pushing them a little bit more. Just make a decision. I don't care if it's no. You just need to say it's no, right? It can't just be, every house, yeah, we're thinking about it. We're thinking about it. Well, I mean, I've never seen anybody like this. I mean, just yes or no, right? Yes or no. Make a decision. Losing offers sucks. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but in this market, it's awful. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I had an offer. I'll talk about a little bit more, but it was 28 offers, and I was in second place. And it was awful. I mean, you're so close, right? And then you're back out and fighting for the next one. There's no end date to this. So like I said, I had a client for 3 years. My worst client is probably 3-4 years on and off. And I never really fire anybody because of that. I just go with it, and sooner or later they do end up buying. Actually closing a deal this year, in the next Monday, and we've had this guy for 3 years. So I'll take the paychecks when they come, but I mean, I know some of you might have fired them by now, but I know I'm pretty patient, and I don't mind getting the check when I get the check. Sometimes your buyers don't have the right foundation, right? If you have I mean, I'm sad to say this, but if you have a veterans loan buyer right now with 0% down, or a FHA buyer with less than 20% down, it's going to be tough for them on the marketplace right now, because everyone's got at least 20% or more, and it's cash is king, and we'll talk about that later. And so that's where you have to shift your focus of those people to say, hey, look, you know what? Let's go do home construction where they don't care about your finances, right? Shift the gears so that they actually are set up to win. Right? If you get somebody, VA loan or FHA, and you're fighting in Santa Teresa with 28 offers, you're not going to win. You're just not. You can't. So you have to really weed that out in the beginning and shift gears so you're not wasting your time and you're not just constantly losing and getting fired anyways. There are flight risks. I mean, unless you get that buyer broker agreement signed, I mean, they can bounce to another person. So you have to be careful of that. That if they're a cold lead, get them to sign that document if you can. If there's somebody warm, then still you just gotta make sure that they're in with you somehow, some way, get them locked in. And Groundhog Day is kind of the same thing over and over again. You do enough buyers, you're kind of like, okay, you already see what it takes to win, but they're new, so you have to really step back and go back to step 0 because you're already on step 50. You see what's going to happen, but you really have to step back and help them because they're step 0. And that's just part of the job. The first thing first, when you're working with the buyer, you must get a buyer consultation. And what is that? It's a 1-hour meeting. Never, ever skip this meeting. I actually made this mistake myself recently with my sister, who, she's my sister, so I didn't, think anything of it. So she's like, hey, I want to see this, I want to see this house, and it started like that. Okay, so we looked at 1 house, 2 house. I didn't think they were serious. They didn't seem they were serious, but I'll take them. And suddenly it became, oh my gosh, let's make an offer. I'm like, oh boy. So long story short, we made an offer, but we didn't win. And the reason was because they thought they couldn't afford more than that number. And because we didn't sit down, as we start talking after the loss, I said, wait a minute, guys, you know that when you sell your house, you're going to be able to basically pay down your mortgage on this side, right? Pay down the principal. And then we were with Wells Fargo, so you could recast and bring down the monthly payment. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And so they could have afforded more. And I kicked myself. I said, darn it, let's have our consultation. We need to have our consultation right now and talk through these things, right? Because we need to have a plan. We can't just go in there and just start throwing offers out without thinking through it, right? And sometimes with family, just you take it more casual, or you know how that goes. So that was a mistake. And with family, it's usually very tempting to keep it casual. This is a very important meeting to set expectations. Like, hey, you're a VA loan and you want to buy a house in Santa Teresa with 28 offers. I'm sorry, we can't do that. We're just not going to win. 100% not going to win. Let's look at some home construction in Union City or Fremont or I don't know, wherever you can go, because they don't care about that, right? As long as you qualify, they don't care. So we need to, or hey, why don't we buy a condo or townhome? That market's struggling right now. Let's do that. Let's go that way. So you got to shift that part of the mindset to where you can succeed. Right? And this meeting is very important. Do not skip this meeting. In the consultation, set up expectations, right? I mean, everybody wants a double spiral staircase and really nice house for $1 million. I mean, right in Cupertino, but you have to tell them that's not possible, right? I mean, you have to set expectations and make sure that they know that at their budget what they're going to get, right? If you don't know, it's okay. Look it up later. So you know what? Let me go take your criteria. I mean, filter it, and I'll email you later what is possible. Okay, if you know it, then you know it. If you don't know it, that's okay. Look it up. Are they ready to buy or not? Right? I mean, if they're, I don't know, about a year away, then you might want to really say, well, do we really want to put your credit under risk if you're a year away from buying? Why don't we keep an eye on things and let's not ding your credit, and I'll reach out back to you in 6 months, or if anything changes, let me know. But there's really no point looking at houses not ready to buy from a year from now. I mean, if their down payment's not ready or they can't get pre-approved, there's a job shift. I mean, you can't do those. I mean, why? Yeah, you can. If you think you're 3 months away, okay, maybe it's time to look and get to know things. And by the time the money is ready, they can move. Great. But if they're a year away, then why would you look at a house that you're heartbroken and you love it, but you can't move on it, right? So you have to make that judgment. Are they positioned right to win? Also, you gotta let them know that you have the right team, that you are the best agent for them. You have a mortgage broker or a loan agent that's perfect for them as well. You have all the inspectors lined up, so they don't have to worry about any of that. That you have the right team to help them. Are these people trainable? Here's another question. If they're the know-it-all, they know everything. You have to really ask yourself, do I want to work with the know-it-all who thinks they know more than I do about real estate, right? So you have to judge and see, is this going to be a nightmare or not? There's some clients you can just tell that they're going to be tough. And if you need the paycheck, you do it. But if you don't, then maybe you go, I don't know if this person's worth the headache. Right? And then again, like I said, come up with alternatives for them. No one's ever going to get everything they want, especially not in the Bay Area, sadly. So there's going to have to be compromises, and you're going to have to help them think through that. Strategic plan. This is a bunch of highways in Los Angeles. This is how most people plan, which they basically don't. It's a mess. So you got to come up with a solid plan so that your clients can move forward. So let me talk about an offer. So these are things you got to think about as you're putting together an offer for a client. These are those of you that think that buying a house is just about price. You'll hear this all the time. Oh my gosh, I just had to overbid. That's all I have to do. I got to overbid, I got to overbid, I got to overbid, or else I won't win. Actually, that's not true at all. You can overbid and be weak on all these other points, and you still won't win, right? For example, let's talk about that VA buyer. I'll give you an example. There's Santa Teresa house, 28 offers, listed at $998,000. It sold for 1.175. The comparables came in at about 1.1. So a VA buyer without any down payment or any cash at all cannot win this house. Even if they offer 1.5 million, they can't. And I'll explain that to you why later, but basically the appraisal would be the problem. So everything has to check out. When I look at when I write an offer, or on the listing side, when I look at a buyer offer, here's what, obviously price is number one, right? The price is important. I'll look at the contingencies. We'll talk about contingencies in a bit, but contingencies are time periods for people to back out of their home, back out of the contract if they need to for a legitimate reason. Example, these are contingencies, and they're usually set with times. I apologize for the veteran agents. This may be really boring for you, but just hang in there. So default on the contract is really long. We never use those 17, 21 days. Not in this market. Our market is so hot that it's different. But for example, let's say there's a certain period of time for you to do your property diligence inspections or read the disclosures or to that effect. Make sure you have all the investigations you want done on the property. And that's usually a set time frame for that. Same with the appraisal. You make sure that whatever price you paid, that the bank runs the appraisal and you get a price back that matches what you paid for it. And the loan is a certain time to, let's say, 10 days for all of these. You have 10 days to make sure you get a loan and you get that all settled down. The sale of homes is a little trickier. It just depends on how you write it up. I typically do, if I do go down this route, I ask the seller, hey, give us 30 days to get in contract and give us 60 days to close. That's the most realistic timeline that a person could really hit. There's other ways you can write it up, but I mean, that's what I try to get, because to sell a house in 2 weeks, or I mean, I've done it. I've sold one in 6 days, but it's very stressful. So trying to really get this, I try to get 2 weeks or 30 days to sell the house at least, and then give me 45 to 60 day close. That's what I do here. But so in a tip, let's just say in a regular market that's not so crazy on the sell side, or if we're talking condominium or townhouse, which is not too hot in most markets, you can reserve time to get these things done. So for example, let's say 10 days, I said, if I put 10 days for the property condition, 10 days for appraisal, 10 days for the loan, let's ignore this one for now. So I have basically 10 days to do my due diligence on all these 3 points. At the end of 10 days, if my loan's not going through, the lender says, you just can't get a loan, I'm sorry, your credit is awful. Okay, then I'll back out based on this contingency. Hey, Mr. Seller, I'm sorry, I can't get a loan, so I'm going to have to back out, and you'll have to give me my earnest money deposit back. On the property, same thing. If you're doing some more inspections, you get your inspector to come down, shove a camera down a sewer line, it's a $10,000 fix. You go, no, I don't want to sign up for this. You just say, you know what? I'm not happy with the property condition, I'm out. And so seller needs to be releasing that deposit check to you. And then the appraisal, let's say, like I said, 1.175, let's say it comes back at 1.175, then you're good, right? Just proceed. But if it comes back at 1.1, then you say, whoa, I overpaid, or I don't have enough down payment. Regardless, the appraisal don't like what I see, I'm backing out and I'm getting my earnest money deposit back. So that's the beauty of the contingencies in a time when you can actually have contingencies. That would be the ideal way to go. So for example, if you're buying a condo or a townhome that's been sitting around for 30 days and you have no competition, you leave these open as long as you can. I would say 17 to 21 days, like as in the contract, is a bit long. I would stick with, I mean, sellers are still quite used to 7 to 10 days, but you have to ask your lender, hey, how long do you need to get this done? If they say 14 days, then there's 14 days. I mean, there's not much you can do here. If they say it's 14 days for appraisal, then it's 14 days for appraisal. Property, this depends. Property inspectors are extremely busy right now. Some of the other trades are a little bit faster, but you got to find out whatever your buyer wants to inspect, you better check with the inspector and make sure they can get down there. Because if you put 5 days, they can't get down there, then you have to extend, right? So you have to be realistic. If you do, you have to ask the appropriate trades. Okay. I'm going to attack a very complicated question. The next question is, Alan, what is this non-contingent offer thing that people are writing? First step, I will tell you that a non-contingent offer is the most aggressive offer you can write. From a seller perspective, they love it. And what is a non-contingent offer? A non-contingent offer is when you go 0 days on all 3 of these and you bring in your deposit check right away. You're basically telling the seller that I don't need any time for my loan. My lender is solid, rock solid. I'm not worried about this at all. I have enough down payment to cover any delta on appraisal. And I'll give you an example of this later. I've reviewed all your disclosures. I don't see any loopholes. I'm very happy, or any issues that I might be worried about as a buyer. I'm not worried, and I'm going to go aggressive. And if I back out of this deal, you can take my security deposit from me. That's what a non-contingent offer is. And that's the strongest offer you can write. However, this is very risky for your buyer. But you have to make sure that you have a really good lender, that you're really sure that they can get this loan done, or you can submit their loan to the underwriter to make sure that the underwriter's already approved the loan. Then you could do this. Okay. If there's some strange lender you never used before and they don't have an underwriter approval, you better double check and make sure that they can do this and they have a good reputation. A lot of lenders say just say anything and get your business, but they don't necessarily get it done. Appraisal is all about down payment. If you just, like I said, the VA buyer, the FHA buyer with 15% down, you should not be, unless you're 100% sure you're getting a huge deal on this. Obviously, this is not your decision, but if you're running the comparables and you see the market's going down, okay, then you're getting a sweet deal. Then maybe you're safe on appraisal. But again, it's risky, right? If they don't have enough down payment to cover, they are in trouble. If the appraisal comes low, you may not want to risk this. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd like to see at least 25, 30%, a 5 to 10% buffer, at least, depending on how aggressive you are going on this offer. So this one, you have to run the data, but any day you can't control this. The appraiser is going to do what they do. I've seen appraisers just do crazy things that you would never imagine. And so just bear in mind, this is a risk. And none of these are your decisions, by the way. These are your buyer's decisions. You can only advise them like I'm doing to you right now. What are the pros? What are the cons, right? And then the last one is the property. This is up to you to review all the disclosures for your buyer. Make sure there's nothing that would worry you if you were buying this house. And obviously, you have to give it to them as well, and they can decide, do they feel good with this property or if they're worried about something or not. Yesterday, Jennifer from my team put in an offer, and there was a 2-day property contingency, and there were 3 offers. And I said, well, why'd you put that in there? She goes, oh, well, there's some settling all around the house. The foundation doesn't look great. I said, okay, that's a great reason. And we have a structural guy ready to come down to look at it tomorrow. So I think that's a smart move. If you lose the house, oh well. I'd rather not be stuck with a house with hundreds of thousands of dollars of foundation problem, right? So that's something, these are the way the contingencies are. Now, one thing I want to make crystal clear, when you write a non-contingent offer, there is no out. The seller is entitled to your check. Almost full stop period there. Yes, there are some stray conditions that, some corner cases, if something materially new comes out, then it kind of puts things into a gray area. But I wouldn't even start there. If you release contingencies, you let your buyer know, whether you bring in the deposit check or not, the seller could basically go to mediation or arbitration to get that check from you. You will probably lose if you wrote a non-contingent offer, okay? Some buyers think that if they don't bring the check in, that there's no deal. Not true. If you have a non-contingent offer, that seller is entitled to pursue that from you, period. So the reason you don't hear about it too much is sometimes the sellers just don't want to deal with it. You know what? Forget it. The market's so hot. I'll just find me another buyer. Just get out of my way. Right? I'm going to cancel you out. But there are some sellers and agents that might pursue. So make sure that your buyer understands when they write a non-contingent offer, that deposit check is if you back out of this deal, that is the seller's check. Okay, that's liquidated damages. Okay, read that carefully in the contract. All right, contingency. Now you see what I'm saying? Even if that VA buyer came in with a $1.5 million purchase price on that $998,000 home, and they released all contingencies, I wouldn't take that offer. I wouldn't, because I look at their finances and I'm going, no, I'm not signing up for this because it's going to go wrong for sure. I know the numbers, right? This house is going to misappraisal by $400,000, and then what? This guy's not going to be able to buy this house. So there's different things you got to look at on that side. Close time. Close time is also important. Most lenders say 30 days. I've seen some lenders are slow right now. Like Bank of the West is doing 45 days. They lost some underwriters. Wells Fargo generally hits 30. If you have a really good loan agent, they can do faster, 25, 28, 27. Why is this important? Well, it depends. Right? If you have an all-cash offer, you can close in 7 days, and you find out from the listing agent that there's a situation that their seller just bought a house, moved into Utah. The house is waiting for the close of this house. They're already gone. They moved out. House is ready to go. You can betcha that a all-cash offer with 7-day close will win. They'll take that because they need to urgently close that house. It's waiting for them, right? But if you have an owner that's lived in this house for 50 years and you can tell their house is packed with stuff and they're maybe an older couple that's having a tough time moving things, they may not care about a 7-day close. That actually might scare them. So you need to be careful with, and this is all about dialogue. If any of you have taken the MC, the Certified Negotiating Expert class, it's about finding out information. Real estate is a game of skill. So you need to talk to the listing agent and figure out what the seller needs. And some of that are questions that are not so direct. If you ask them, what's the close time? They go, 30 days is fine. But if you think, well, where's the seller moving to? And you find out all the details about where they're going, what the situation is, they sure as heck wouldn't mind having their money sooner, right? In that particular case, but sometimes not. So it's something you have to figure out by asking the right questions. And where's the seller going is always a very good question. So again, what kind of close time? If it's an investor who's on the clock with his or her loans, then a fast close time, they would love that. They would love an all-cash offer. No contingencies, no loan to deal with, no appraisal to deal with, low risk, they'll take it. But again, a seller who's lived there a long time may not care about all cash. And an investor, they actually might want a family to live in there rather than anything else. So things you got to figure out. What kind of close time do you do? 7, 21, 25? I had a house in Almaden. I put a 25-day close, and I gave them 2 months of rent back. And then I thought that was very generous already. And they countered me back and said, everything looks great, because I knew they were building a house in Morgan Hill, but I didn't know they didn't tell me the exact timeline. And they said, you know what, can you do a 30-day close? That way it'll take us right to this day. I think that would be enough buffer for us on our construction. So I said, okay, fine, 30-day close, 2-month rent back. And that gets them right to where their house would be done. So sometimes there's a little discussion in there as well. I thought they want their money sooner, but it was the other way around. Down payment. Unfortunately, cash is king. Cash is everything, and it's unfortunately the case. So bare minimum, I would say, is a 20% down that I would highly recommend when you're competing. When you're not competing, it's fine. But when you're competing, minimum 20% down, but you should have some extra cash, 5%, 10%, anything you could show, 50%, 75%. I've had clients who could actually pay in cash. I show it all. I don't care. I say, I want to see all of your down payment, and I want to show it all to the seller. And the reason for this is you want to show financial strength. If a lot of your clients will hide their money from you. They don't want to show you everything, but they're actually doing themselves a disservice. If you can show them that, hey, look, I'm going 20% down, but I've got 50% down. Then as a listing agent and a seller, I feel good. I go, well, hey, if anything goes wrong with the appraisal, they got the money. Right? I don't need to worry about this. And so you can verify that and make sure that those funds are not retirement money. I'm really doubtful that people really will dip into their retirement to buy a house, frankly, because there is a penalty to use those funds. I'm looking as a listing agent for cash, liquid cash, or stocks, or vested stock, all that kind of stuff. Things that could be turned to stock, turned to cash quickly. Okay, not just retirement. I kind of put a little asterisk next to it. I don't believe that people are 100% going to pull money out of there. It's a nice reserve extra, but I don't add it straight to the proof of funds. Deposit earnest money we talked about in our contracts. 3% is the maximum deposit that a seller can take from a buyer for liquidated damages. So in this market, 3%, that's what I do. Right? When the market was awful in 2006, I could write $500 or $1,000 and they would take it. But right now, no, it's still majority-wise still a seller's market. You could negotiate this, but when it's competitive, why bother? Just put the 3 in. Some people go even stronger and put 10% in, just to show them that even though the seller can only take 3%, this particular buyer is saying, look, I'll put 10% cash in there, even though I know you can only take 3, but hey, 7% of my money is still in there. That's how serious I am. So that sometimes people do that for seriousness. Condition of a house, again, if the house is a condo, townhouse, or a house for some reason that's sitting on the market for a while, you can maybe negotiate. I want you to, seller, I want you to fix Section 1 damage. I want you to fix the roof, right? I mean, Section 1 termite damage, right? For those of you that are newer. I want you to fix the roof. I want you to fix the foundation. You can ask for fixes in a market that's on your side. If it's a buyer's market, definitely can ask. These are things you can negotiate. I try to stick with the big things instead of the little things. Oh, can you put a new doorknob? I don't worry about that. I like to focus on the $5,000 termite fixes, the $5,000 on the roof, the $10,000 on a sewer line, and the big things I like to get, because those are, I don't like to be petty. That's just my style. But the time that I can be petty, usually if it's a new home construction or a flipper type of deal, they usually have a construction crew that hasn't really punched through all the line items. So you can ask them, hey, you know what, you didn't touch this up. This is, ding here. They might do it, right? So the worst you can do is ask. Rent back. What is the rent back? So if you're, once the house closes, the roles switch. So the buyer becomes a landlord, seller becomes a tenant. And in this hot market, if it's a competitive house, most people are throwing in free rent backs for 2 months. The lender will usually only let you do 2 months, and then they'll make you get a investor loan. So 2 months rent back. Make sure you hold a security deposit in escrow for that house. I mean, it depends. I usually do 3K, 5K, somewhere in that range, but I like to hold some kind of deposit just in case something gets damaged on the way out. And we have those funds to go back to. Okay. Okay, a lot of different components we can talk about on the offer side. Okay, we talked about contingencies. Boy, time is, okay, still time, good. Pre-approval. So once you're done with the consultation, it's really important to get pre-approved. Before you take them, driving them around, I hope you have a good lender, that this is a critical partner, somebody who can get things done, who you trust, who will respond to your buyers, but more importantly, not put your buyers in a bind. Right? They should be more familiar enough with the system, that the company that they work with, that they can get things done and see the red flags before they come. So I like to pick top producers at companies because they know the system. Right? I don't love brokers because brokers don't have control over their banks. Right? They might, today they go with this bank, tomorrow they go with that bank. And there's no guarantee that they punch enough business through that bank for them to even care or give them the time of day. So I really like to look for lenders that actually are direct and work for the company itself. Now, here's the thing. This also, how serious are these buyers? If they don't get pre-approved, then they're not serious. Right? And you need to decide if you take them out or not. I don't mind giving a free tour for a week or two before the pre-approval is done, or if I pretty much know that they'll qualify. So sometimes you might do that just to build rapport and see how it goes, right? But if you're noticing that they're not doing this at all and you're not sure how serious they are, I had a cold call from somebody who wanted to see some homes in Los Gatos Mountains. I don't even know where he got my number from. And I said, yeah, no problem. He goes, yeah, I'm paying cash, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's great, wonderful. I said, well, a lot of the sellers are asking for proof of funds before showing the house, by the way. So if you can send me that over to me, then I'll send it over to the sellers, and then I'll get you a P form signed and all that. Dial tone. I'm sorry, I'm not wasting my Sunday driving you if I can't even tell if you're qualified or not, right? If that came through a friend of mine and it's someone I know and I can tell they work at a good company, and I might take the risk and just go couple of hours, 2-3 hours, and show them a few houses. But a cold lead like that, and they're not willing to send me their data, I'm not gonna waste my time, right? So you have to protect your time as well. So again, remember that ability to achieve their goals, right? Yeah, a lot of people say they can do things, but you run the credit, oh, bad credit, or oh, did you know you have this big student debt? Things like that, and suddenly they thought they could buy $1 million, now it's only 700. That's fine, but we just need to know what it is, because then otherwise we spend weekends looking at $1 million homes, and actually you can only afford 700, right? So this is really important. And like I said, try not to show homes without completing this. I'm okay with a couple of weekends of freebies as you go report, but they got to get this done. Okay, I want to talk about that non-contingent situation when you have, there's a way that loan appraisals and down payments are tied together. I have written an article about this. If you want to read it, ping me, and it's on my LinkedIn profile, but you can read it more. So how do loan appraisals and down payments work? So the best case scenario, you buy a house at 1 mil, and then you're planning a 20% down payment, 200K. Your loan is 800,000, right? So the best case is the lender sends out the appraiser. The appraiser goes, yep, house appraised at $1 million. The bank goes, excellent. The house is worth what you offered to it. We're going to fund this loan. We're going to give you 80% loan of $1 million. Okay, all good. This is the best case scenario. Everything checks out. Okay. Now, sometimes things don't work out. So the list price is 900K. Actually, sorry, this is the one where it works out. Let's say it was a 900K, you bid $1 million, appraisal's $1 million. Again, same thing, 80% of appraisal value comes back, you're good to go, right? The loan's gonna proceed. Your buyer will not be bringing any extra money out of pocket because of the appraisal came through at the price that you wanted at, okay? The problem happens when the opposite happens, okay? Let's say at 900, you bid 100K to win it to $1 million, and it appraised at 950K. So, what happens here? What happens in this scenario is the bank will give you 80% of 950. Okay, remember the previous loan was 800K, right? So they're giving you 80% of 950. So the new loan is 760K. So what does that mean? You have the bridge. Your buyer has a bridge, an additional down payment of $40,000. Okay. For those of you that have been through this without realizing it, know what I mean. This is the most awful conversation you will ever be in with your customer if you didn't prepare them ahead of time for this. You cannot guarantee the appraisal. I mean, you can do your best. You can meet them out there. You can tell them they're good looking and I love your shirt and I love your shoes. In the day, they're going to do what they do, right? And so, as an agent, you'll know when you run the appraisal. Your comparable market analysis. You pretty much in this case probably know that it's not going to hit $1 million. Think about an appraiser, right? They need to find 3 houses that have sold at $1 million, and then 3 backup houses as well. So it's a total of 6. So if you can't find 6 houses that justify the price of $1 million, but you're finding 6 houses that justify 950 or somewhere around this range, then the odds are it'll hit here somewhere. Again, I know this is not easy because you have to factor in, there's strange things. If a house is right on the highway, an appraiser starts deducting, right? If the house is extremely remodeled, the appraiser will add more value to it. That if the house has 1 more bedroom than the other house, then he'll add more value. So he or she will do that. It's really hard to, I don't know the appraiser's formula, but you will get a general idea and you'll kind of know. I'll give you an example. There's a house in Almaden that listed at $2.2 million. I ran the CMA and it was right at $2.2 million. So I told the client, this looks like a good offer, $2.2 million. I tried to drop an early offer, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit, but the agent was him and hawing, so I was about to drop it, and he said, oh, no, sorry, we're going to wait till Sunday. So then I didn't submit it. So unfortunately, that's the right move for him, because what that means is there'll be more competition on Sunday. So it turned out there were 4 competitors total, including us. So I asked the buyer, what do you want to do? And he goes, well, what do you think I should do? I said, well, you got to at least clear 2.3. Now that we have competition, I know the comp say 2.2. I'd say at least 2.3, 2.5, maybe, just to try to edge out somebody else. So it turns out we were second place, and then, but our client had a ton of down payment, like 70% down or something, like a lot of money. He was only, 60% down, I think, and $1 million loan. And so he was really financially strong. And so he said, can you come up 25 to match the other guy? So I would take your offer. No, I'm sorry. We were both tied, 2.325, 2 offers tied. He was struggling with it. I noticed he was struggling. I said, well, let me try to help you. I called my buyer. He goes, Alan, throw another 25 at it. I said, okay. So we threw 25. He goes, Alan, you made it easy for me. Sign on a dotted line. 2.35 was the final price. Now, we knew the appraisal wasn't going to come because it was going to miss by 150K. But again, remember, my guy's got 60% down payment. He doesn't care. It doesn't affect him at all. So for him, 0 effect, right? But it's about mentally preparing your clients so they don't get angry. They feel like they overpaid, right? And he already knew, because I already figured it was going to miss because we comped it at 2.2. And I told him when we offered that it's not going to matter what the appraisal comes at, because you have so much down. It doesn't matter. He knew what it took to win. So But make sure they understand that, because it's the most awful call when the lender calls your client and goes, hey, your appraisal missed by 150K. If you didn't have this conversation, they thought that they're going to start thinking they overpaid. Okay, so you got to have this conversation before you make the offer. Let me break down some offers just for you based on the market. So in a buyer's market, or let's say you're buying a condominium in San Francisco or a condominium in many places around here, you might be able to go below list. You might be able to keep your contingencies at 17 days. You might be able to close in 30 to 45 days. You can have a VA loan, 0% or FHA minimum 3.5%. You can negotiate a deposit maybe. You can ask the seller to fix all kinds of things. Maybe the seller can pay for their own rent back if they need to rent back. Right? This is a buyer's market. Right? You don't have to give away the farm. I've seen agents that sometimes I scratch my head. I'm going, what are you doing? I mean, there's nobody competing. Why are you offering this one? Oh, I don't know. Well, the reason is a lot of you agents have not actually dealt with a buyer's or a balanced market. You've just been seeing this market. So you're assuming that this is normal. This is not. This is you only do this when you need to beat out a bunch of offers. If it's a balanced market, things are, you can actually reserve some time for everything. You don't have to give away the farm. And then if it's a buyer's market, you definitely don't have to give away the farm. I actually love it when I can write offers like these because I feel like I'm doing my job for my buyer, right? So just bear in mind, for those of you that are not seeing this kind of market, every situation is different. And if you can, why not leave a contingency open for your buyer just in case something goes wrong? You just never know with the loan. You never know with the appraisal. You never know if you find something odd when you do the inspection. Reserve the time if you can. Now, balanced market, you're probably going to offer around list price. Like I said, maybe about 10 days for contingencies. Maybe you give up 1 or 2 of them, but leave the property open or something to that effect. Sometimes you want to be aggressive. You can close in 21 days. It's not realistic right now with COVID. Probably more like 25 days. But 30 is fine. I mean, maybe 45, and you can negotiate all that. And in a balanced market, the 0 is still a bit hard, but 10% is okay. Maybe you can get away with a 1.5% deposit. Maybe you can split some fixes. Maybe you could split, PITI. PITI, by the way, is principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Those are the costs for you as a buyer to carry the house, to rent it back to the seller. Most of you are doing this because it's what it takes right now. But in a regular market, you can negotiate all these things. So this is there. Now, of course, if you're buying a single-family home, like I said, in Pleasanton, Dublin, Danville, Livermore, Morgan Hill, Santa Teresa, most single-family homes with good space anywhere right now, you're going over list. You're non-contingent. Remember, warning on non-contingent, what that means. I've had a cash buyer close in 2 days. That's not normal, but they can, right? It's cash. 7 days. Actually, they closed so fast that my new assistant forgot to move the staging out of the house. They came, whoa, there's still staging here. But 2 to 15 days for cash. This older deck, so I'd probably say 25 days, 28 days, whatever your lender can realistically do. You'll see down payments of 30% and up, or all cash, 30% deposit or more. As is condition, when it's aggressive, don't even bother asking for fixes. Nobody else is going to do that. And then complimentary 2 months. Now, is your job, remember, to decide if it's safe for your buyer to do this or not. If you've got a lender that's him and hawing and unwilling to commit if the loan is strong, you don't want to do that. If they don't have at least 25, 30% down based on the comps that you're running and good buffer for appraisal miss, you probably shouldn't waive the appraisal. If there's some questions they have about the property condition, you don't want them stuck with the lemon, right? So this is your job to tell them, you know what, guys, this is probably what we need to do. This is what people are going to do to win, but are you feeling good on these 3 points that we have? If you're not, then we should leave it open. If we lose, oh well, right? Better safe than sorry. Or if your buyer's the aggressive type, that's their choice, not yours, but it's your job to protect them. Okay, I'll give you an example of, this is one of my listings in Cupertino that I reviewed offers for. This is a crude chart I put together to evaluate the offers. So one's price, of course, second's down payment, contingencies, close times, deposit. This is actually credit, by the way, disclosures. Did this person do their disclosures or not? I know it's hard. It's, for those of you that are solo without a TC, tagging disclosures is very painful if you're not sure if you're going to win. So of course, I mean, if you know you're not going to win, let's say you know you're this offer and it's a training offer for your buyer, maybe you don't want them to go through the work to tag the disclosures. But if you do have you think you have a really good chance of winning, you get all the disclosures signed, and if you want extra credit, you do your agent visual inspection disclosure as well. Why? As a listing agent, I don't want any holes. I don't want any excuses from the buyer that they're backing out of the deal, any of that kind of stuff. So when you send me all the disclosures signed and you do agent visual inspection, I know you're a darn good agent because you're telling me I've got everything. If you spend the time to do your agent visual inspection, I know you're a good agent because you probably had to go back to the house to get that done, right? And so for me, that's extra credit. When I see that, I'm going, this is a good agent, really good agent, right? Knows what they're doing. Pre-approval. I do own stock in Wells Fargo, but I have no vested interest in them. It's just heads up. But the bigger player around here is Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. They have really good rates, really good programs. So, and most of us agents understand their processes really well. So we feel very comfortable when we see Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. And if we know it's a top producer on the other side, then we feel even better about it. So you notice everyone came in with Wells. Okay. What is this POF thing? Proof of funds. I want to see the proof of funds. So when you're writing an offer, I need to see the proof of funds. Right? You can tell me you have 20% down. I won't believe you until I see it. So all these other buyers, these agents are smart. They're providing me all their information. Now, what did I do? I tallied up how much money they have. So they actually have a total of 50%, 25% down, but total 50% liquid. That's really good to me. This one has 20%, but 24% on the proof of funds, right? Why is this important? Because the reason is, oops, my mouse is dead here. The reason is if I'm at 50% down here and if there's an appraisal problem, then I'm feeling really good about this particular buyer, this 1.7 buyer. So I know that I can trust them, and I know that they're going to be, if an appraisal problem happened, they have 25% more to buffer. However, if you look at this list, and the first offer is awful, right? Awful price, awful terms, didn't even fill in the close date, didn't sign the disclosures, no proof of funds. I mean, this agent, I'm looking at this agent, I'm scratching my head and go, why did you even write this offer, right? Now on the second offer, it looks pretty good, right? The only exception is the price is a little low. 25% is okay, right? My big question is, why do you need a 10-day loan contingency? If you're so strong financially, why do you need a 10-day loan contingency? That's risky for my seller, right? Another thing here is the 3% check in 3 days. The deposit check on the contract says 3% in 3 business days by default. What I've learned is that buyers play games with this check. They think they cannot bring in the check, and then suddenly I don't really have a deal, right? I have no recourse on them. So a smart agent will put a 1 day for the check to be in, and you will assure the listing agent that your buyer will be bringing that check in tomorrow. Okay, that's a good agent. That's an agent that understands what it is to be a listing agent. Because on the listing side, the worst thing I want is somebody to fall out of contract, right? And also, if you're a listing agent on 1 business day, you can still recover. Right, you still have the other offers. You can always go back, and but after 3 days, people moved on, right? So for me, until the check comes in, I don't have a deal. I don't believe it. If the check's not in, then I immediately go to offer 2. Okay, I've done this long enough. I'm a little cynical. I don't trust it until it's done. I had a buyer for one of my listings. I picked them, and he went to the title company, and he would not let go of his check to the title agent. He was so nervous, and then he sat there in the lobby for 3 hours thinking, and I was just shocked. I said, I called the agent, and the agent wasn't answering the phone, so he called me, and I said, I can't advise you. I'm not your agent, but I'll tell you, if you're not feeling confident, I mean, call your agent, and I've got other buyers. I mean, don't hold up anyone's seat, right? So that guy ended up backing out. But I mean, again, as an agent, you need to prepare your clients for these things so that it's smooth to the listing agent, right? And you also don't want to burn a listing agent by not preparing your buyer, because I will remember that the next time around when you offer on one of my listings, and I will be nervous about accepting the offer from you, because I'm not sure if you are a good buyer's agent to really advise your clients. Okay, really important. So how did this play out? Well, here's the thing. Let me talk about bidding. when you are entering into a situation like we are with the bidding war, you really don't know where things are going to go. You really don't. So what ends up happening is this is what I tell my clients. I go, all right, here's the data and comparables. Now the data on this house said about 1.675 what this house was worth, but we had a total of about 4 offers come in. Okay, there's another one coming, and so these offers are really good, right? If these were the offers I was looking at, then my plan was to counter this person, come up and get rid of this loan contingency, and make this one day and get them to sign all the disclosures. And if they could come up and even match this guy or go more, then I would definitely take this offer, right? But if they weren't going to come up, they couldn't get rid of this, or fix this, then I would most likely take this offer here because it's beating everybody by a lot. Now this is kind of how, when I talk to buyers, it's all about what is your maximum willingness to pay, and do you want to go with that number or do you want to go with your second best number? The number one highest offer is the no regret willingness to pay offer. If I don't get it, oh well, right? That's one strategy. The second strategy is to go with your second best, and so you have some room for counter offering as well. What I found, people go with their best numbers and the competition pushes them up just a little bit more too. And at that time, they're a little bit more willing because they're almost in. Now, this house, actually, here is where things get a little interesting, is this particular buyer went 1.9 mil. They had 26% down, and they had a lot of cash. They had another 131K in cash buffer, non-contingent, 30-day close, signed all the disclosure, did their ad at 3% in one business day. So this buyer went for it. I mean, just absolutely went for it. And I mean, you guys, probably your buyers ask a lot of times, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to counter? Are you going to take the best offer? The answer is who knows, right? I mean, in this case, I would probably counter this guy because I like something about this person, right? The 50%, and try to get it close, and then I have a tie, and I got to decide. So I'll counter one, or I'll ask this person, and they come up a little bit more, right? But when there's an offer like this on the table, so it's funny. I was supposed to meet with the client at 9:30 at night, but I pinged them at 4 or something and said, "Are you free now?" "Oh, we free at 5:30," because I wanted them to sign this offer before this buyer changed their mind. This offer just destroyed everybody. But this is where I want to give you guys some advice, because this house was a little crazy. There were 21 disclosures out, and it looked like there were going to be 10 some offers, but it turned out there was only 4. So as a buyer's agent, maybe making a few more calls. I mean, it's hard because you don't always know, right? The indications look like a lot of offers, but it just depends. So you may not want to advise them to overshoot like this. The appraisal did come through, mind you, and sometimes you don't want to stop your buyer. If that's their number, that's their number. But hopefully you're not telling them to go with these kind of numbers, because I mean, that's pretty aggressive. But again, it is what it is, right? They won, they're happy, they got the house, that was their number. Let's see, we got a few more minutes here. Running out of time. Really important, I want you to leave with this. This market is crazy right now, so you have to be aggressive. The first question you ask when your client sees a house that they like, and you know that they like, you call the listing agent or text, and you ask them, just get a hold of them. I like to talk on the phone. I think it's better than anything. I always ask them, are you accepting preemptive offers? Very important question. Why do I ask this? Have you guys noticed some houses you look at are gone before you can get there on the weekend? It's because agents like me are asking, are you accepting preemptive offers? If they say absolutely not, nope, not taking any preemptive offers, we'll look at them on Saturday, Monday, Sunday, Tuesday, whatever. Great, then you got time. Right? And you go, you're sure, absolutely 100% sure. If someone came in with an offer for $3 million, you won't take it. Nope, I want to be fair to everybody. Great, I got time. If they hem and haw, well, we haven't really discussed it yet. We're not sure. Then you go, okay, sounds great. You get over there right now. You take a look at that house. You write the offer that night, and you get in their queue, and you try to beat everyone out. I will give you an example. Remember that house I lost in Santa Teresa for 1.175? Do you know why I lost? And this is a lesson I should have known better. They asked for a 1-month rent back, and I gave them 1 month rent back. Apparently there were 2 offers tied, and the lady was calling me like I won. So I said, oh, okay, great. And then I didn't see anything come in that night. I pinged her in the morning, like, hey, what's going on? And she says, oh, it was well, actually she had pinged me that night, and it was a little late. It was like 9 something. And she says, oh yeah, I'm looking at yours and another offer, so I'll let you know. And I'm going, where did that other offer come from? I was too polite. I said, you know what, it's kind of late. I'm not going to bug her. And I don't like being that annoying agent either. But I should have called her, because I should have called her and I should have said, that other offer, what is that is making you think? What can I do to get rid of that concern that you have? And you know what it turned out to be? They had a 2-month rent back, and we had a 1-month rent back. So I lost. And that was because I was trying to be too polite and I didn't ask the question, right? So, be aggressive but not annoying. I mean, ask the question, like, what is it going to take? What is it about that offer that's better? And let me see if I can do better, right? Just see if you can help the listing agent, and rewrite it and send it over. So that particular house was not taking preemptive offers, and they reviewed, and I lost it by a rent back. So of course I was upset. So back looking at houses, and we ended up finding another house that was listed at $1,099,000. It was bigger, it was better, and I started running comps, and I started calling pending homes. The houses in that area have been selling for $135,000 to $1,375,000, a similar size. Okay, and so I called the listing agent and I said, "Are you taking preemptive offers?" And he said, "Well, if you write it, I have to present it." Good. So I went over there, looked at the house, drafted the offer. It was in his mailbox by 9:30 p.m. that night. All disclosures signed. My agent visual inspection was done, and my seller my buyer was offering a terrible offer. I mean, it was. They wanted to go 125. I said, guys, it's not going to work. So I worked them up to 1.3. I said, at least get them 1.3. The neighbor had sold for 1.35. Okay, like 3 months ago, and they went 1.3, and I couldn't believe it. I don't know if this agent or the seller wasn't sure. They took our offer. So we basically saved them 50 to 75K by preempting, and it was gone on day 2 on the market. If he had waited till next week, it would have been 1.35, 1.375 easily, because I know how competitive it is. So if you can get it, I'm not saying you can always get a deal, by the way. I mean, if they were smart, they would have made me go with 1.35, and we would have been out of it. But they like the down payment, they like the strength, they liked everything. They like the buyers, they like the story, they like all that. Okay. I'm going to go a little quickly here because we're almost out of time. I apologize for those of you that got to go. I'm sure you're getting a lot out of it. So give me a few more minutes here. Review the disclosures. Always do that for your client. Assess that property contingency risk. Like I said, figure out the seller's motivation. You can look in the title database for clues. See how long they own the house. If they owned it for 30, 40 years, it's probably going to be an emotional sale. So you better have a photo and a letter in there about your clients. So look for clues. But if you see it's a flipper that's only for 3 months, they don't care about your letter. They just care about the bottom line, right? So it's an investor. Like I said, ask pointed questions. Dig deep. Don't be shy. Ask questions. Try to figure out what they need. They're not going to tell you what they need, right? Like this lady's, I need 30 days rent back. No, someone else gave them 2 months and they took it. Alan, you're smarter than that, right? Give them 2 months, right? And I missed that one. I should have been more aggressive and just given them 2 months, right? So that's that. Establish a relationship with listing agent. So I do this by asking questions about the disclosures. I call them here and there. I block my time maybe 2 days before the offers are due, and I ask them how things are going. If you ask them too early, they don't really know, right? So you have to figure that out. And then there's no open houses, but try to make an impression if you can when there are open houses. Get FaceTime. How do you compete as a buyer's agent? One, you just got to work harder than everybody else, just like Jerry Rice. You just got to work, overwork. Agents can see when you're working hard. What I don't like are agents that drop an offer, last minute, they drop it in there and you go, whoa, I didn't even know you were interested, right? Try to show that you're a hardworking agent, build rapport. If you can, although we can't do it during COVID, if the listing agent says that they will allow offer presentations, go into the office and present face to face and do it. Sell yourself, sell your buyer. It's funny, I remember I was at an open house and an agent told this other agent, says, yeah, I'm taking offer presentations in my office. I could see this agent's face. You're doing offer presentations? I mean, heck, for me, that is gold. If you will let me be in front of you, I will sell the heck out of myself and my client. This is your job as agents. If you're not good at this, find a partner in the office and practice, okay? But right now, we don't need to really do this. I actually did a Zoom presentation one day. Actually, it was quite fun. But most agents aren't doing this during COVID, so you have a little bit of time. Touch people's hearts. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Beautify your package. Remember, you're emailing it in, right? If you email it, don't make it a garbage email, right? Make sure it's a proper standard greeting. Use bullet points. Make it good. Make it look good, because that's how people are judging you. Have a summary sheet of all the terms, so I don't have to dig through everything. Where's that buyer letter and photos of the family? I want to know who these people are, right? Tug on my client's emotional strengths. If it's a tied game, the one with the letter and photo always wins. If you're on the bottom, it doesn't really matter, right? But it's a tie game, and the other one, I'm telling you, so many times I look and I see this 2 offers. One has the letter, one doesn't. The one with the letter and photo always win if it's tied. Always. It's not a gimmick. It works. Your pre-approval letter needs to be in here. Your proof of funds, and circle it for people so they can add it up easily. Or heck, if you want to do extra credit, add it up for them. So I don't have to go and add up your funds, right? Do extra credit and follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. Just like I said, I made a mistake of not following up, being too polite at 9:30. Call, send a text. I mean, most of us don't sleep till 1 a.m. anyways, right? Don't be polite. Don't be annoying. There's some agents that call me every 5 minutes. That's annoying, right? But you got to follow up at least periodically. If you know you should do it. There was a time in my career where I was earlier in my career, and I had an awful contract that I wrote because I was so new. And I remember at the time being very annoyed with this agent, and I don't remember who she is, and I wish I did, because I want to thank her. She actually called me and said, "Hey, can I give you some feedback on your contract if you don't mind?" And I kind of did mind. I find it really, I was kind of insulted. I look at these offers like resumes. Yours is handwritten. You missed this checkbox. This one, blah 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 blah, on and on and on. And I gotta say, that feedback changed me forever. Now I'm very diligent about my package. I try to make it look the best possible. And it's always done in car, no handwritten anymore, right? And it's the most beautiful package you can imagine. So that's something you need to do, is put it together and make it look good. Here's some things that you shouldn't do. I've had agents show up in my office with a blank contract and say, "Tell me what number you want me to write down." That's not very professional at all. Okay, that is not fair to the other customers the other buyers that I have. I don't like this at all. That is ridiculous. And then I've had agents beg me, please, I haven't made a single sale this year. Please take my offer. I mean, honestly, guys, that's awful. Don't do that. Okay. So I had an agent call me and say, "Hey, if we win, I'll take you to a 5-star restaurant." Really? If you knew me, Taco Bell would be fine. I don't need a 5-star restaurant. But either way, I'm not taking your offer just because you want to take me out to eat. This is like shady business here. Don't tell the agent you're willing to give them some of your commission. I mean, gosh, that's got to be illegal of some sort, like collusion or something. I mean, I was shocked. I don't want your commission. I'm trying to act fairly, right? These are, again, multiple offer situations, right? Again, I guess this might work if you get another unethical agent on the other side. But if you have somebody like me who is ethical, this really ticks me off. I mean, you're immediately at the bottom of the list. I've had an agent hover around my office trying to be the last offer before they present, so they can just scribble in a number. And when the agent did scribble in a number, she actually scribbled a down payment into the deposit line and made big errors. So, I mean, it just doesn't work. Don't call every 5 minutes asking what the price of the other offer. That's really annoying. I mean, when I have all these offers, I mean, you can text me, call me. I'll try to get back to you. But if I wanted to talk to you, I would have talked to you, right? If you're in the middle or bottom of the pack, I'm not going to talk to you. I don't have time to talk to you. I got 10 other offers I'm dealing with, right? So try not to be that annoying, but definitely check in if you can. I know you can set the usual best judgment. Make sure the numbers match. I told you about the agent who put the down payment and deposit line. That's what happens when you're scribbling things in at my office, right? And don't email your offer in a bunch of separate messy attachments. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. You put 5, 10 different attachments into the email, and I got to go and look through all these things. Put it into one email package PDF so it's easy to scroll and read. Okay, these are things that annoy me as a listing agent. So results, often if you're in second or third place, like sometimes the goal is just to get into top 3. The agent, like I said, if you're all about the same, I might call you guys back and give you an option to come up. And it might be something that I like about you, your down payment or your buyer, your lender. You never really know why I'm calling you, but there's a reason I'm giving you a chance to come up, right? Or I might just know you and I just like you as an agent. But most of the time there's a reason, right? More down payment, a better lender, no contingencies, things like that. I'll call and see if I can get the top 3 into a better spot. Okay. Sometimes you win with a lower bid because the owner really wants to sell it to you, period. And is because of the letter, the story. I had a client who we were 6 out of 15. I mean, like, no chance at all. Maybe 9. It was awful. But the family story was really good because apparently the father who my client was buying a house with had the same story, like an immigrant, working odd jobs, and they really identify with my client's family. So they gave us a chance from spot 9, and then she goes, Alan, I need more. I said, okay. So I rewrote that sentence. She goes, Alan, that's not enough. And I said, okay, what do you need? So she told me a number. The client said, yeah, let's just do it. And so we ended up winning from 9 to 1. Imagine that. I mean, imagine that. It is doable. I don't think we even paid the top price because there's only so much we can do. And not everyone's about the money, right? Sometimes they want to sell it to a good family, and that's often the case. See that you're working hard, that counts. All listing agents want a smooth transaction. We want you guys we don't want any trouble. We want to go sell the next house. If we can tell that you're not sure what you're doing, or things are not neat, or your lender's I'm not confident on your lender, then I may not go with you because I don't want any problems, right? I want to feel more confident that you can close the transaction. Let's see, just really quickly, I know I'm running out of time, I apologize, but I'm hoping this is good stuff for you. I had this offer here, it was really tied between these two here. I got this offer to come up to 510. They had 29.4% down, non-contingent, 25-day close, 3% deposit, sign all the disclosures. They had the loan with Wells Fargo, I'm very comfortable with. Down pay, $155K, underwriter approved. So this buyer was strong. They were just low on price, so I pushed them up $5K. This particular buyer, good price, 23% down, a little weaker than this one. Non-contingent, closing was good. Deposit, they didn't even add it right, so they put 2.5%. Didn't sign the disclosures, and I didn't know who this broker was. It was some broker that I've never heard of. And I also had a problem with appraisal. They're showing, I was concerned about appraisal for these guys because I don't know who they are. And they didn't have a condo project. So there's all these red flags here on this one. So I said, it was between these two. And I said, if it were me, I'd take this one. This is a safe offer. But guess what? They had a letter. And my client just had a baby as well. So she could not stop staring at this baby. And defying logic, she took this offer. She did. And it was all because of the baby. Okay, I'm telling you guys, this works. Don't think it's a joke. Photos work, family stories work. Kids and babies are the best. I'm not saying you make one up if you don't, your clients don't have one, but definitely leverage that. Okay, write the story, write the letter, and they won. The other one didn't have a letter. All right. Well, I can lead you to water, but you guys have to put this all into action. So I'll leave it at that. Presentation matters. This is one I actually presented face to face, and I put it in a fancy binder because I was so tired of my client losing. I went to present. And we won that house in Mountain View for them. So sometimes this is what it takes, folks. This was another house I won because of this tire swing that we wanted. Apparently, the sellers also had a tire swing, and it was just something that they had in common. It was the weirdest thing, but it was in the story, and we won the house because they both understood they wanted a tire swing on this tree. So. All right, any questions? Sorry, I know I'm super over. Any questions you guys want to put in chat, or you can even ask out loud.
Alan?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, it's Alice. So my question is, when the buyer's agent doesn't have to have it, is it still possible for them to get out because of it?
I believe there is a loophole. They can say, "Oh, basically the agent might cite something, and the buyer goes, well, I didn't know there was a scuff mark on the wall. That wasn't disclosed to me before. That's new information." They could possibly try to open up the new information. Oh, I got two more days to do that. But Mark Bernstein, are you still on the call? Is that the correct loophole? I know Mark might have dropped off. But yeah, my understanding is there's a loophole there that they can claim new information.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Wow. Did I cover that much? Let's see. Let me check the stat. Yeah, so you're right, Tina. 3 days. So that's why we want that avid and all the disclosures, because they might claim, well, I didn't actually get all the disclosures. Right? That's why we want it all signed. All right. Anyone else have any other questions? Going once, going twice. Well, thanks everybody. Go get some offers, okay? Go get aggressive, get some preemptive offers, get a good package together, and go win. Thanks everybody. Bye.